Put your hands together, please. One might think that King Hiram Williams, better known as Hank Williams Sr., and Alexander III of Macedon, also known as Alexander the Great, are completely different personalities. After all, they lived in different time periods. Alexander the Great lived in the 4th century before the Common Era, while Hank Williams lived in the 20th century. Alexander was a general and a king, while Hank Williams was a country star. Alexander had blue blood. Hank Williams had a red neck. But if you move past these superficial differences, there are some amazing similarities between the two of them. First and most important is that both of them were the best at what they did. Alexander was the best general ever. He had a perfect win-loss record. He fought on many different types of battlefields against different types of enemies, and usually he was greatly outnumbered. For instance, in the Siege of Tyre in present-day Lebanon, he combined the use of infantry with warships to defeat an island fortress. At the Battle of Hydaspes, which was a river in present-day Pakistan, he defeated an army which was numerically superior to his own, which consisted of infantry, cavalry, and even war elephants. Not only did he have a perfect win-loss record, but he excelled at both tactics and strategy. Tactics is how you position and maneuver your soldiers on a battlefield to win that individual battle, while strategy is plotting how to use that battle to win the war as a whole. What is your overall game plan? Most generals could do one or the other. Alexander excelled at both. Not only that, but Alexander was the epitome of the heroic commander, literally leading from the front, as he would personally command cavalry charge after cavalry charge with the companions, which was his own cavalry unit. He modeled his career after the man he believed to be his ancestor, the Greek hero Achilles. Hank Williams is not only the greatest country and western singer ever, but the greatest musician ever. If you listen to his songs, they have so much insight about life, such clever lyrics. How could anyone not love them? In a tribute to his father, Hank Williams Jr., also known as Bocephus, sang the lyrics. All the songs he wrote, everything he said, it didn't come from a light thinker's head. Bocephus was right. His father was no light thinker. Both of them had a proclivity to alcohol, which led to both of them dying young. Hank Williams was only 29, while Alexander was 33. Both of them left young sons behind. Hank Williams Jr. was only 3 when his father passed on, while Alexander the Great's son, who would be Alexander IV, was a mere fetus crawling in his mother's womb. But there's something else that you might not think about that's so similar to both of them. You could make a strong case that dying young was the best thing that both of them could have done. Let's take a look at that. With Hank Williams, his life was in a downward spiral when he passed on in January of 1953. His wife, Audrey, had left him. They had divorced. He had been fired from the Grand Ole Opry. He was playing in very small-time venues. Had he lived, his career probably wouldn't have gone anywhere. Furthermore, all of his songs were written and sung in a very limited span of time. They were all very similar, very, very timeless. Had he lived longer, with new developments in music, particularly rock and roll, that might have changed his future music, and not for the better. Furthermore, the medium of TV had not really come of age yet. Hank Williams did not have the personality to be on television. Hank Williams was no Elvis. And no, Hank Williams Sr. was not ready for some football. But what about Alexander? What would have happened if he had lived? He had already conquered nearly the entire known world. Any possible conquest in the future, such as the Western Mediterranean, snuffing out that village that will eventually become Rome, Arabia, or India, that would be small potatoes compared to what he had already accomplished. He had also was on a downward spiral. His best friend and probably homosexual lover, Hephaestion, had already died. Furthermore, he was turning into a megalomaniac. But what about their sons? Would they have been better off for their father? Absolutely. Hank Williams Jr. sang an autobiographical song, Man of Steel, lamenting his life of loneliness. That song began with the phrase, "My daddy died when I was 3." Alexander's son, Alexander IV, was assassinated along with Alexander's half-brother Aridaeus when Alexander IV was 13. So it would have been better for the sons. But what about life? Would that have been better for both of them, just to enjoy life? With Alexander, the answer is simple. No. He modeled himself after Achilles. Achilles had a choice in Greek mythology. He could either live a long and uneventful life and be forgotten about, or he could go out in a short blaze of glory. The answer to that with Alexander is a no-brainer. What about Hank Williams? He did remarry. Maybe he could have had a better life with his second wife. But I don't think that marriage and family was the thing for him. After all, when God made Hank Williams, he made a rambling man. Towards the end of Hank Williams' life, he wrote a series of morality ballads under the pseudonym of Luke the Drifter. And my favorite of those ballads is entitled, "Be Careful of the Stones That You Throw. Therefore, I will not judge with my cold, cold heart. Instead, I will simply enjoy their accomplishments."